Hello and welcome. It's fantastic to have you here. Before we dive in, let me ask you something. Have you ever heard a colleague say something that was technically correct, but just sounded off? Like when someone says, "I will make a decision tomorrow," instead of "I will take a decision"? Or, "Let's do a fast move," instead of "Let's move with alacrity." Nothing is grammatically wrong, but something feels wrong. That, my friends, is the magic and the minefield of collocations. Now, a collocation is not a complicated medical condition, nor is it a new type of coffee. A collocation is simply a predictable combination of two or more words that naturally and frequently go together in a language. To a native speaker, these combinations just sound right. Alternative pairings, even if they are grammatically perfect or identical in dictionary meaning, will sound unnatural, awkward, or forced. For example, we say heavy rain, not strong rain. We say commit a crime, not do a crime. And in the boardroom, we say articulate a vision, not explain a daydream. So today, we are going to upgrade your executive collocations. By the end of this session, you will not only sound like you belong in the C-suite, you will think like you belong there. In short, we are replacing everyday language with high-impact, high-register executive speech. Let's begin. Strategy and vision. Essential verb collocations. To articulate a vision is to communicate a future direction with clarity and conviction. That's the hallmark of executive leadership. From there, you drive growth with purpose and measurable intent, ensuring momentum is sustained and directed. When a strategy begins to take hold in the market, you gain traction. You align resources, personnel, capital, and capabilities towards strategic goals to eliminate waste and duplication. You devise a strategy with deliberate, structured intent. When a competitive advantage appears, you seize an opportunity. Speed and judgment both required. You navigate uncertainty with composure and analytical rigor. And sometimes you lead a paradigm shift, not incremental change, but transformational, strategy and vision. Executive level phrases. At boardroom level, you make a strategic decision, exercising judgment among high-level alternatives with enterprise-wide implications. You define strategic direction, set long-term objectives aligned with the board's mandate, and prioritize business goals by strategic value and urgency. You align every initiative with corporate strategy. You also assess business risk, evaluate major alternatives before committing resources, conduct a feasibility study to test viability, mitigate potential risks, and approve the business case. These phrases form the core vocabulary of strategic discourse. Mastery signals executive readiness, leadership and management, essential verb. Collocations. To galvanize a team is to energize people to act with urgency and purpose, especially in periods of change. You hold someone accountable so they own their responsibilities and deliver without exception. You escalate an issue to the appropriate authority, a sign of professional judgment, not weakness. You onboard executives effectively from day one. You set clear expectations that define success at every level. You foster collaboration across functions, streamline processes to optimize workflows, and push the envelope beyond the status quo. Leadership and management. Executive level phrases. You lead high-performing teams that exceed targets and set benchmarks. You foster a performance culture where results and rigor are the norm. You enhance team engagement, improve leadership capability across the organization, and resolve internal conflict to restore productivity. You provide clear direction, drive organizational change with executive sponsorship, delegate responsibility effectively with appropriate authority and support, manage cross-functional teams, and influence stakeholder decisions through credibility and evidence. Effective leadership language signals both authority and emotional intelligence, the combination that defines executive presence. Meetings and communication. Essential verb. Collocations. First, level set. Establish a shared baseline of understanding before proceeding, preventing misalignment from the outset. Then drill down into granular detail to surface root causes. Cascade information systematically from senior leadership downward through the organization. Circle back to a topic at a more appropriate juncture, a sign of discipline, not avoidance. In the UK, you action an item to formally initiate work. You may speak off the record when mutual trust allows. You move the needle only when you produce a measurable material shift, and you touch base briefly to maintain alignment between formal meetings. Meetings and communication. Executive-level phrases. When you chair a meeting, you preside with authority and impartiality. You set the agenda in advance, address key issues with directness, and reach a consensus through structured dialogue. You document action points with clear ownership and deadlines. You raise a concern formally, clarify expectations explicitly, express a viewpoint with confidence, provide constructive feedback that drives improvement, and follow up on decisions to ensure implementation. Executives who command meetings, rather than merely attend them, are perceived as leaders regardless of title. Negotiation and deals. Essential verb. Collocations. To leverage synergies is to exploit combined strengths for mutual value beyond what either party could achieve alone. To hammer out terms is to negotiate with rigor and persistence until all conditions are finalized. To walk away from a deal sends a powerful signal when terms fail to meet minimum requirements. To secure a mandate is to obtain formal authority to negotiate on behalf of the organization. To bridge the gap closes distance between divergent positions. To table an offer presents a formal proposal. Note the UK-US usage difference. To redline a contract annotates proposed amendments, standard in M&A and procurement. And to enter into an agreement formally commences a binding partnership. Negotiation and deals. Executive-level phrases. In positioning and tactics, you negotiate contract terms through structured discussion. You make a counteroffer to revise terms in your favour. You establish common ground as a foundation for productive negotiation. You leverage negotiation power strategically, and you secure favourable conditions that protect and advance your organisation's interests. In closing and partnership, you reach a mutually beneficial agreement, close a deal with all necessary sign-offs, finalise the agreement by executing the binding document, and strengthen the partnership through trust, delivery, and mutual investment. Performance and results. Key collocations for executive reporting. In financial performance, to exceed forecasts means delivering performance materially above projected targets. You post strong earnings when financial results exceed market expectations. You optimize margins by improving profitability per unit through cost discipline and pricing strategy. And you allocate capital by deploying financial resources to the highest return opportunities. In operational excellence, to miss targets means falling short of agreed performance benchmarks, which triggers formal review. To weather a downturn is to maintain operational resilience through adverse economic conditions. You scale business operations by expanding capacity and reach without a proportional rise in your cost base. And you track key performance indicators, the essential metrics that signal organizational health. In sustainable value creation, you deliver shareholder value by generating returns that increase investor confidence and equity worth. You generate sustainable growth through long-term, repeatable expansion underpinned by sound fundamentals. And you maintain competitive advantage by preserving the unique capabilities that differentiate your organization in its market: risk, finance and compliance, key collocations for governance and control. You mitigate exposure to reduce vulnerability. You invoke contingency plans when a critical event triggers pre-approved protocols. You stress test assumptions to challenge the beliefs behind strategic decisions. You manage financial exposure to control market, credit, or liquidity risk. You conduct a risk assessment systematically. You move with alacrity to respond to emerging risks or opportunities. You conduct a post-mortem to extract lessons from failure. You ensure regulatory compliance, strengthen internal controls to prevent fraud, audit financial performance formally, and allocate resources efficiently with minimal waste. Governance language must be precise. Imprecision carries legal and reputational consequences. Corporate communication. High-level tone and executive register. Provide an overview by delivering a concise, structured summary. Brevity and precision are paramount. Highlight critical issues that require executive attention. Prioritization is itself a skill. Summarize findings into clear, actionable conclusions that drive decisions rather than defer them. Escalate the matter to a higher authority as a formal, consequential act. Outline key developments as a narrative with context and implications. Present detailed analysis as a rigorous, evidence-based examination. Offer strategic insight that informs decision-making. Insight, not information. Align stakeholders to a shared understanding as the precondition for execution. Request further clarification formally before proceeding. Circulate updated information to all relevant stakeholders. Executive language upgrade reference. Elevate everyday language to the high-impact register of the boardroom. Instead of talk more, articulate a vision. Instead of make a choice, exercise discretion or make a strategic decision. Replace work together with foster collaboration or align stakeholders. Instead of go fast, move with alacrity. Replace copy the strategy with leverage best practices. Instead of ask someone to do it, delegate responsibility effectively. Replace meet again later with circle back. Instead of explain step by step, cascade information. Replace look at risk with conduct a risk assessment or mitigate exposure. Instead of finish the deal, finalize the agreement or close a deal. Replace do better with exceed performance targets. Instead of save money, reduce operational costs or optimize margins. Consistent use of executive register language builds credibility, signals strategic thinking, and accelerates career progression at the senior level. So there you go. You've survived the slides. Now you can talk like a CEO, which is lovely, but please don't test it on the person making your tea. And remember, if you ever catch yourself saying leverage synergies at a birthday party, just stop. Go home, have a biscuit. Try again tomorrow. That's all from me. And always, just in case I don't see you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.